Welcome to Planet Sci-Fi from the makers of Planet Marzipan. I'm your host, Craig Stu. Hello and welcome to Planet Sci-Fi at the movies. We're doing a special episode where we're having a look at, just say, putting pepper down as usual, which is all over us, having a look at some of the major science fiction films that have came out over the last few months. I'm joined by my special guests today, Stu Chandler. Hi, Stu.
Hello. Hi. Good to hear you again.
Yeah, and a very, very, very old friend of mine who isn't very old, but he's a very old friend of mine from Aliens Explored podcast and from Hailing Frequencies podcast, the legend that is Stuart Jackson.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great to see you, mate. It's been a little bit too. It's been months. It shouldn't be.
It's been a hot minute, but yeah, because I of course I would never be invited to Planet Music or Planet
Marzipan.
Marzipan. Thank you. I was going to say Marillion Fish. No, Planet Marzipan, because I know nothing about music.
But one thing you do know a heck of a lot about is science fiction.
A little bit.
A little bit, you lie.
A little bit.
You lie. You lie. And of course, Stu Chandler, he knows an absolute boatload himself.
Some.
Yeah. So, what we're going to be discussing in this episode is a pile of films that we've actually, between us, seen in 2026. It has been a little bit, it's quite an interesting year for science fiction in the movie sphere, because there's quite a lot of, yes, there's franchises returning, but there has been some like big budget newbies, and also
Indeed.
one of the other films that we're going to be talking about, a very low budget movie that's made an absolute fortune on such a small budget. So I think what we'll start off first is we will go back to a few months ago to Project Hail Mary.
What a fantastic film. And based on a fantastic book.
Yeah, it's
I really enjoyed it.
And it's an Andy Weir book, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
that's correct.
he was the author of The Martian, which a lot of people will either have read or seen the film, where Matt Damon scienced the shit out of shit.
He did.
But I think, Stu Chandler, do you want to give us a brief synopsis of the story?
Sure.
Not go too spoiler.
No, indeed. So the sun, they detect something wrong with the sun. Something's interfering with it, and there's a project set up, Project Hail Mary, to save the sun. Our hero, Ryan Reynolds, Ryan Gosling. Ryan Gosling.
Wishes.
Dr. Grace is sort of taken on by this top secret agency, not top secret. It's a bit complicated, but he's sort of taken on because he knows what's going on, essentially. And through happenstance, he ends up out there having to deal with all the science shit.
With no memory of what happened before.
With no memory, yes. And hilarity ensues.
Yeah, so Stu Jackson, what did you think of it?
I managed to avoid a lot of the spoilers before, but I was quite late in watching it. But I did manage to avoid a lot of the spoilers, so I was utterly unprepared for, I'm just going to say, the two major twists. Like one that's fairly early on.
Well, I think we can mention Rocky because I think that he's in the culture now, a bit like what Grogu was with Baby Yoda with the Mandalorian. So you can talk about Rocky. That's fine.
I thought Rocky was absolutely brilliant as a both a plot device and as a character in his own right. Really, really well conceived. I did wonder, a bit too human in places, but you know, I would. It's a film to enjoy rather than
It gets you in the
too
feels.
heavy on.
It's probably one of the hardest. Yeah, it's probably one of the hardest science fiction films as well, in a lot of ways.
It is. It kind of straddled that line for me between your sort of like your heavy, deep, serious, your Contact level sci-fi and your pure fun entertainment. It did walk that line, and it walked it very, very well, I've got to say.
Yeah, I think as well, because what we're used to, and you see it in a lot of science fiction shows, everything from your Star Treks to even back to things like Space Above and Beyond and all the rest of it, where they play on the enemy mine trope, where the old thing about the back in the day where the American airmen and the Japanese airmen stuck on an island, then transposed into space and things like that, where you've got two adversaries who will work for the common good, but this time people who aren't adversaries. It's back to almost like the Darmok episode of Next Generation, where you've got two completely different alien cultures learning to communicate and learning to work together. And fine well in the getting into the cultural zeitgeist now, you've got Amaze, haven't you? So it's
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like a rival light as well in places as well, isn't it? Sort of, with the learning to speak. But I read the novel first, about probably 6 months before I saw the flick, and I thought it was amazingly faithful in places. I know some people didn't feel it was, but to me, it was the book on screen, so which is great.
Well, it's on my desk in the bedroom to get packed when I go to Pompeii.
Yeah.
So when I go on holiday to Sorrento in July off to see Marillion, that is one of the books I'm taking with me. We've had it sitting on the shelf for ages, and Sarah was like, I don't want to read the book first. I want to see the film first in case the film disappoints.
Okay.
But it was the other thing, because we saw it at the opening weekend in the viewing Gateshead on screen 1, which is the big IMAX kind of screen that they've got there, which isn't IMAX, but it isn't. And it just, the effects and the production and the sound and everything was just absolutely fantastic. And it's one of those films where you go to see, and even if you've got like ideas of plot holes and things like that, you feel the film, and it's a very good feel-good film as well. And it's entertaining, it's intelligent, it's funny as hell.
Yeah.
And it's just the problem is now it's gone from its cinematic run, so anybody's just going to get to see it'll be on streaming, and the 4K and that'll be out probably later on in the summer.
Yeah, very shortly. I think it's coming to. I think it'll be on Sky Cinema within weeks. I think. So,
yeah, it's available. It's available to buy now on a download.
Yeah.
Well, I was quite interested to note that Ryan Gosling was one of the producers, not an executive producer, but an actual producer, which it made me wonder how much input he had into the development of the movie itself. Which I don't know.
I think what you find now with films like this, even though it's a known source material, unless you have somebody with decent star power.
Oh yeah.
Stu, you're a professional actor. You know the industry. You know how things work with it. Unless you've got names attached, you're not going anywhere because you need to get the financing and you need the names. I mean, you go back to and this is a bit of a Hollywood, not really a joke, but you go back to like the Jack Reacher films with Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
He couldn't be less like the character of Jack Reacher. But they needed the star power, and they needed somebody, if his stature is not really the right word, but
Same height as me.
to actually get it made. So
yeah.
I
I get that. But you could have had like Ryan Gosling say, "Yeah, I'm really behind this, and I want to play the character." That would have kind of done the job.
Yeah.
If it was, and here's where I distinguish between like producer and executive producer. An executive producer is usually someone who's putting in money or putting in their cachet.
Yeah.
Something
or
like
expecting
that.
cash from the back.
Or taking the cash out. Yeah. But a producer, that's a proper role with it, like executive producer, has their place. But I think a lot more is expected of a producer. So I wonder, like, how much he was sort of driving the project forward. Perhaps, maybe he'd read the book and thought, "This has to make a movie."
Yeah.
In interviews that I've seen that he's done on the press junkets and the tour that he did before it, he seemed very, very invested, very, very invested in it. So, yeah, I think it has been a passion project for him. I mean, since The Martian was released, The Martian's a good few years ago now, it's been lined up as the next thing, and I think there's another one of his books which has been optioned as well.
Is it Artemis? Is it
Artemis? Yeah.
So on a budget of 248 million. Good God. Box office of 682. So
which is more than they thought. This is more than they thought.
I don't know whether that makes, if that's money or not. Well, I don't know. It's so hard to say these days.
But budgets spiraled, in the years of the Avengers movies and things. But you say that post COVID, you don't tend to get the $1 billion movies now.
No, we don't do it.
Your avatars and things and stuff like that, purely because, and I think COVID changed the way that we watch things.
Yeah.
And when they reduce, and also the fact that they're reducing the
release window
for releases, because it was always at least 6 months plus, and you had, back in the day, you would have the cinema release, then you would have like the rental release of, well, it was originally VHS, but then onto your DVDs and Blu-rays. Then you had your rental, so your retail release, and then digital wasn't really a big thing. I mean, you would have like digital codes with your Blu-rays and stuff like that. And once the streaming revolution started, there was no turning back. And I never understood why the release order was cinema, streaming, then physical. It always made more sense to me for it to be cinema, physical, to get some money, and then streaming, a month or so later, just to get people buying things. But physical media's been in decline for the last 10 or 15 years.
Forever.
I mean, 4K has never really taken off compared to what Blu-ray is, but you go to the States and DVD still outsells Blu-rays and 4Ks put together.
Does it really?
Is crazy. Yeah, why would you go for a lesser format?
Well,
this is also oldies talking.
Depends what tech you're still using. I mean, let's not forget a lot of America is struggling financially, and they might not have, HD TVs, or might still be running a 20-year-old DVD.
Yeah, attached to a dynamo with granny pedaling like hell. But that's it. But yeah, so Project Hail Mary, I loved it.
Yeah,
and I think you guys did too as well.
Genius.
Really,
play genius on bollocks. Old school. Next up, The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is the first cinema release Star Wars film It's a long time, because I mean the last Star Wars film at the cinema was Rise of
Solo?
Skywalker. No, because Solo was just before Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, right,
So
right.
yeah, Solo was between The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. And I will not have bad words said against Solo, because I really enjoyed that film.
I like it as well. Yeah.
I think that it's given a bad rap, and it was only a failure because it was released in the May straight after The Last Jedi. Because The Last Jedi, we could do a whole episode on what we think about The Last Jedi and what it
We
did
will.
to the Star Wars franchise, and then try to course correct with The Rise of Skywalker. But anyway, but The Mandalorian is a beloved television series. I mean, I absolutely love The Mandalorian, and I think it's brought a good love back to Star Wars in the fandom of, Star Wars, an expensive TV series, but not as expensive to make as a lot of other shows are, especially because the way that it's made with the volume. But this film, none of you two guys have seen it yet, have you?
No, I haven't. No.
No. So this is set after its third season, and it essentially replaces what would have been season 4. And Din and Grogu are out doing missions for the New Republic, hunting down Imperial warlords. And they get, I mean, the opening sequence where he takes out some AT-ATs is absolutely gorgeous. It's fun. It looks on a proper movie scale, and it just is fantastic. And the story is he gets sent because he's got to rescue Jabba's son from some gangsters to get information on an Imperial warlord for the New Republic. And we'll not go through all spoilers, but it's essentially a big 2-part episode of a TV series with a nearly $200 million budget or whatever. And it's not an essential story, but it's fun, it's engaging, and I loved every minute of it. And is it a Star Wars film for the cinema? It looks like it, but realistically, there's not really anything in it that propels the Star Wars story forward.
But you don't have to have that all the time, do you? Really?
You don't have to have it. I mean, it's essentially what you could class as a side mission.
Yeah.
But it's gorgeous to look at, and there were so many nice touches in it as well, and there's lots of callbacks. The only thing that I think spoils it, and this is going right back to the special edition of Star Wars, is that when Star Wars do creatures practically, it's always a lot better. Some of the CGI creatures work great, but I've always thought that when they do the Hutts, no matter which version of the series or whatever it is, they look CGI, and they're always going to be CGI. Whereas Jabba in Return of the Jedi, the massive great, the puppet thing was glorious, and the moves that the Hutt makes, you've got essentially a Hutt in this who you just take a leaf out of the Thor movie with the Hulk, where they're where they're the fighting ring together. So you've got a Hutt who's like the Hulk, and it just, there's bits where you just got to suspend, even though when you're watching Star Wars, you've got to suspend your disbelief. This bit you've got to uber suspend any disbelief bit. But I think it was glorious. And I mean, if people say that it's been a financial failure, it's took money, but it's never going to be $1 billion Star Wars movie, because it's a bit like, actually no, it's probably different. When Star Trek transferred over from the small screen to the big screen, from the original series and the Next Generation doing it, a lot of people could go and say something like, Star Trek Generations or Star Trek The Motion Picture, you know, those two where they're starting off the franchises, you could see that where it's not necessarily part of a continuing story that much. And with this, I think it's a I know they're trying to make it a good jumping on point, but you're in a period of Star Wars which is just post Return of the Jedi. So unless you really know your Star Wars lore that well, it's not simple to jump into.
Yeah.
If you're just a casual, I'm going to go and see a Star Wars world, or somebody who's just going to go and see a film on a Friday or Saturday night.
Yeah, that's a bit difficult, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but as I said, I freaking loved it. So I can't say that I'm going to be. I can't give it an unbiased review because I love me Star Wars, and I will. But I mean, I will say that I can hand on heart say that I really don't like the last trilogy of films, you know, from The Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker, because I think they screwed the pooch and they are not consistent films and they are not good films. Even if you just take a step back of like in general storytelling quality. But that's just me. And you know,
going back to M&G not doing as well at the box office as was perhaps hoped. I think a lot of that is to do with it's one of the big disadvantages we have now with streaming. So the fact that The Mandalorian is only available through Disney Plus, if you don't have Disney Plus, you haven't watched Mandalorian, basically. So there is a huge, massive Star Wars fandom audience who won't have had the preparation for
and will never
the movie.
Yeah.
And this is where I think it kind of works against itself. With Solo, it's a bit different because that movie, Solo standalone, there's a pun in there somewhere. But do you know what I mean? And like, you know, if you've watched the original movies, which, you know, we all did, whether we had Disney or not, you know, especially here in the UK, it was on every Christmas for us growing up, wasn't it? So, you know, you could go and see Solo and you know who, well, you know who Han Solo is, you know who Chewbacca is, and everyone else, it doesn't really matter because you're being introduced to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Mandalorian and Grogu, I think if you don't know who they are, if you haven't watched The Mandalorian, there's no real drive to go and see it, I think.
And also, if you go back to the fact that the way there's twofold here. You go way, way back to Thunderbirds Are Go, the film, 1966, 67 or whatever it was. That was a financial flop because even though it was made to a feature quality like the TV show was in any case, people would say, well, why do I have to go and pay for something that I see on TV in any case? You know, that was happening while the TV series was still going. This is what's happened with a lot of Star Trek and stuff. It's happened when the TV series is still going. With The Mandalorian, the TV series, people don't know whether it's still going, whether this is a stopgap between another season. But also the fact of the matter is people are savvy. They know that The Mandalorian and Grogu is going to be on Disney Plus before the autumn.
Yeah.
So now I'm lucky where I live because the cinemas around here are relatively cheap. When I went to see the Mandalorian and Grogu on the biggest screen in the view, and I was in one row behind the posh seats, which is be fair because it's like row K seats, like 14, 15, 16 of that. I get that area there all of the time.
They reserved for Mr. H.
Yeah, because if you say my old cinema there, that's this is where I sit. Right now, guess how much my ticket cost me to see that film?
I would say 15 quid.
£4.99.
No.
£4.99, and it was on the. It was.
You're lying.
No. There was. It's a view. Now the View cinemas up and down the country, there's a lot of them where the price starts between you pay between $4.99 and $9.99. The most expensive seat in this area is $9.99, and it depends on the showing and depends on what's there for the pricing of some of the seating. But this is why the View, I love it because price wise, it's just worth going to see. But if you've got a family, and you've got like I mean, there's families there, and there was like, parents with 2 kids and stuff like that, and they all had their popcorn, they all had their stuff like that. Now, not too bad in our area there, so they'll have only paid less than 20 quid for the seats for the family of 4, and also if the popcorn, that would have been the most expensive thing. So that trip to the cinema there probably cost them about 40 or 50 quid maximum, including going for something to eat and things and stuff like that. But you go to another part of the country, you go even to America and places like that, if you're going to go and see a film, it can easily cost 100 quid.
Yeah.
To take a family out to the cinema. Now, something like The Mandalorian and Grogu, it's coming onto streaming in a couple of months' time.
Yeah.
What are you going to do if you're on a budget?
Well, yeah. I mean, so my boys are 21 and 17, and that's full price. Any way you look at it, if I want to go with them, and it's like 60 quid,
Yeah,
crazy, and they won't put their hand in the pocket.
But this was always the thing in that as well with people buying physical media, because you know fine well, if you don't subscribe to something like Disney Plus, if you wanted to get The Mandalorian and Grogu, you're going to be able to get the Blu-ray before Christmas for like $14.99 and the 4K for like 20 quid.
Yeah.
So even that's still, relatively cheaper than going to the cinema. But I still think nothing beats the cinema experience for a lot of.
Oh no, you're right.
For a lot of films.
Yeah,
for a lot of films. So that was our The Mandalorian and Grogu. What I'm going to do is going to hand over to Stu Chandler for this one, which is Backrooms, which is it's a film by a first-time director who's 20 years old or something.
20 years old, yeah. He so Backrooms. Okay, so it was a YouTube series, I believe. I was coached through this by my youngest son, 17. So it was a YouTube series based on liminal spaces, which is sort of spaces in between. And it was a big hit, got a lot of views, and it's basically looking at spooky places where people aren't. So it got picked up and made into a movie, which is more traditional as a movie. We have a protagonist who is in a furniture showroom, and he ends up in the back rooms, quote unquote, which is a huge space where God knows what goes on, and it's room after room of weirdness, but blank weirdness. It sounds really weird and boring. It's not.
Yeah, I remember hearing.
It's
great. Mark Kermode reviewed it the other week, and I think it got one of his films of the week. He really loved it. He likes his weird stuff. And
I thought it was fantastic. It was so engaging in a weird way, and it sort of was very off, very sci-fi. It was sort of one of these. It just took you to places where you didn't expect to go.
I get the impression, looking at trailers and what little I've heard about it so far, that it's unsettling because it's so close to being familiar, like the Uncanny Valley, sort of principle.
Yeah,
it's like it's exactly really familiar, but just not quite.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever worked in offices and seen the back rooms where people aren't, and abandoned office equipment, that that's what you're looking at. Except you've got enclosed spaces and odd people wandering around in the shadows that you can't quite hear or see. And outstanding performance from forgive my pronunciation, Chiwetel Ejiofor. He's
Chewie.
amazing. Yeah,
He was the protagonist in Serenity, wasn't he? The Firefly
He
movie
was.
as well. So he's got his sci-fi chops back then.
yeah. I mean, he's really good in this, and I would highly recommend it. It's made a ton of money on nothing, and it's incredible. I think at one point, a couple of weeks ago, it was number one movie in the world.
Yeah, I mean, was it like with the budget under $10 million, and it's just made an absolute.
It's all Blair Witch stuff, you know.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the trailer for it, it kind of gave me slight Severance vibes.
There's a I mean, there's a lot of that in there.
Yeah, just the room kind of things like that. I mean, to be fair, I couldn't. I tried Severance and I could never get away with it. You know, I did try and push.
I enjoyed that, but
it never stuck. It never stuck.
But I mean, what's more interesting as well is that it's a new generation of filmmaker. So it's young people, really young people, making films for young people. You know, I mean, I was pushed to go to this by my 17-year-old, you know, and I really enjoyed it. You know, he felt it was a film for him, you know, for his, you know, voice.
Do you think?
As it were.
Yes, you know, speaking on that, and speaking on a new generation of filmmakers, and just, you know, talking about the first two films that I've just discussed, you know, both of those had, I'm not going to say bloated budgets, but, you know, very big, expensive budgets. And, you know, you can see now that, you know, a $200 million plus film has to make nearly, you know, $600-800 million to be seen to make its money back. And there's not many films that can do that. I mean, this weekend, you've got Toy Story 5's just opened, and that's taken $160 million in its opening weekend. This is the biggest opening weekend, I think, this year, and there hasn't been many films in a long time that have opened this big. Yes, it's trading on, you know, a lot of past history and goodwill and everything. And it's you know, the first Toy Story now is like 30 years old, so you've got multi-generational family people going back to that. But talking about like the next generation of filmmakers, these guys moving forward, the studios aren't going to necessarily be throwing the level of money around that they used to throw around. So something that's being made for like $10 million, that's going to make hundreds of $millions. That's what they need. They need cheaper films. And this is where you start and get into, you know, the new techniques of filmmaking, the use of AI, the use of new technologies. You know, this is where the whole world of cinema and Hollywood and around the world is changing, because financially it has to. I mean, you know, we're not, none of us, I think, are that comfortable with the way AI is seeping into every part of life nowadays, and in everything from politics to the arts to you know, just to tear gas and electricity, telephone call, like you know, call centers and stuff like that. You know, so I mean, Stu, as an actor, where do you think that filmmaking is going? Because you're on the ground level. You're a person who's like on set.
Yeah. So I've been noticing a massive shift over the last 30 years within filmmaking. It used to be that you had these things called patron of the arts, who would put money into a project because they wanted to get art out. And for the last few decades, the only people with any real money are the investors, and they're not interested in getting art out. They're interested in getting a profit out. Sorry, I'm going down a bit of a soapbox rant here.
Go for broke. I mean, I know
but this is like,
But can
this
I
is
just say one
observation.
thing? Just you go back, to what you talk about patrons, right? You look at one person who we're going to talk about a lot, I think, in the coming months of Planet Sci-Fi is Lord Lou Great. He was a patron, but he knew how to make a profit. He would trust his filmmakers with budgets because he liked them, he trusted them, he knew they could tell a story, and knew they could tell a story and make things that people wanted to see. And
Yeah.
you don't have anybody like that now. But I'll let you get back onto you.
No, well, you've hit the nail on the head. The people like that, and you have like the other extreme people with just more money than sense who just say, "Oh, you want to make a film that nobody's going to see here? Have a big check." They were lovely people. But yeah, you don't
Contact
get any
Stu
of
at
that.
this above address.
Yeah. Seriously, we're talking about these like multi-million-pound budget, like hundreds of million-pound budgets. I want 45 grand to make my sitcom. Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so all you've got is these people now, and they're only interested in how much money can we make. So you're losing on a number of different avenues. One is, this is where we have, like, okay, we just talked about Project Hail Mary and Backrooms, which are incredibly innovative and new and fresh, but they're so much the exception in cinema these days. Everything's a rehash. Everything's, there's got to be a guarantee that they will make a lot of money from it. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So you don't get the risks being taken, not only with the movies themselves, but also with actors. And speaking as a non-famous actor, I'd like someone to take a risk on me.
Yeah.
But the chances of that are diminishing and diminishing and diminishing. Now, coming on to your AI side of it, throw that in as well. Literally, actors are being replaced by AI now, and it is terrifying, absolutely terrifying. We're seeing a lot of it sort of behind the scenes, as it were, in contracts where, so I might get a job doing, a shoot for an advert, and they might sneak into this contract. Oh, and we can scan you for AI and use that in perpetuity. Like, no.
No, just wait 1 damn minute.
But that's what's happening. And of course, because these days, there's been a lot of changes in the industry over the last few decades, but you now get a lot of actors who are just like, pick me, I'll work for free. And they're happy to sign these things, against advice. And yeah, it's terrifying where it's going. The last season of Black Mirror, the opening episode, I think covered it really, really well. The fear for actors is, they can use our image, like, it can be hidden in a contract somewhere. Use our image, use our voice for anything they like.
I mean, some of the two scary things I would say that I've seen lately, which are fan-made things on YouTube. One of them is being Star Wars related, where somebody's done some like Shadows of the Empire stuff, and you're using Mark Hamill's likeness, you're using Carrie Fisher's likeness, and these are done. I mean, they're so well done now, and these aren't like let's say professionals who are doing it. Yeah, they look a little bit chunky, and you can tell sometimes, but give it another year or so, and Jesus H Christ.
Oh,
I mean, there's one.
Yeah.
Somebody's
it's like
doing
that, isn't it? Yeah.
somebody's doing a V. Me and Stu keep talking about V a lot. A V thing, and he's doing like a continuation of V, using a lot of the likenesses and new characters, and actually generated new characters and things like that. And this is just done fan made, and you're thinking, bloody hell, give this a couple of years, and this is going to look. I mean, it looks a little bit shonky, but for what it is, it's like, this is the way, and this is why people should be scared, because not just for entertainment factor and for actors and stuff like this. This will play into politics. This will play into the fact of you don't know what you are seeing is real, because it's getting how fast it's changed in the last couple of years, and it's still in its infancy.
Oh yeah.
Just wait, these are grown up.
Yeah. and you can't legislate quickly enough for how fast it's going. We have so my agent. We're a co-op agency, which means that all the actors in it are also agents, and we're always having conversations about AI. Like, what should our policy be? Because I think AI can be an amazing tool for some brilliant things, but also it's being used for evil as well.
Mhm.
I mean, this is the one thing. I mean, taking a slight sidestep now, just talking about Project Hail Mary and the next film that we're going to be talking about, Masters of the Universe. These are both MGM Amazon Studios. And it's if you go back 20 years, you're going to say to people, oh, Amazon, where you get your books from, they're going to rule the world. And also, you're in a bit of a political bind now as well, because with MGM and Amazon owning James Bond now, I think this is one of the problems that they're having with the new James Bond film, because I think they want to do something current and topical, but because of the political situation around the world and the politics of Amazon and everything now, they've got to be very, very careful, because they can't do. I mean, you look at Tomorrow Never Dies, that film there with Elliot Carver with the newspaper magnate and stuff like that. This is kind of the perfect person, and I think this is what I think is really difficult at the minute. The perfect person who would be the ultimate Bond bad guy at the minute, Elon Musk. Perfect Bond bad guy. You could do a new version of Moonraker with Elon Musk as Drax.
I'm saying, or Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, the one thing though is I will give Jeff Bezos his dues. He's a big Star Trek fan, so he can't be that bad.
He can't be that all bad.
He can't be that bad.
And he lost a huge amount of money on that film about Ivanka.
Well, that was he didn't lose the money he made from that, because that was excuse me, I'll pay you all this money just so you don't watch exactly what I'm doing.
Yes.
But we digress. And staying on the Amazon MGM front and staying on franchises, Stu, do you have the power?
Which Stu?
You, Stu.
Me?
Not me.
Masters of the I was so excited for this movie. I was a big He-Man, Masters of the Universe fan growing up, and I got to admit, I was disappointed.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a good movie. It's a good He-Man movie. I know this is going to be an incredibly unpopular decision, but the Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren, I didn't like.
Yeah, I get that, because when that came out, in 1987, and what they did with that, it must be a long time since I've watched that, but they changed the whole style and production design, and it didn't feel quite like a Masters of the Universe and a He-Man film. They retained like a good look for Skeletor and a few bits and bobs, but there was a let's change everything and to make it live action rather than make it look.
That was
like
what they did
the
back
cartoon.
then, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
I mean, Frank Langella, he's an amazing actor, and he was a brilliant Skeletor. Dolph Lundgren as He-Man was okay, a bit one-dimensional, I felt, but he was okay. Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, the actors were pretty okay, including a very young Robert Duncan McNeil.
And a very young Courtney Cox as well.
And a very young Courtney Cox, yes.
It wasn't. Was Richard Lynch in that as well? I think he was.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, so do you want to give us a quick synopsis of?
So, Master of the Universe, they rewrite. It's a new origin story for He-Man, but drawing on some existing elements from established origin story, where as a young boy, young Adam is sent through a portal by his mother to the safest place she can think of, Earth, and he grows up and he needs to get back and wants to get back to this planet that he sort of remembers as a child as being absolutely amazing. Manages to do so, and it's all turned into an absolute. Can we swear on this one?
It's cluster and something that rhymes with muck.
Shit show.
Yes.
It's a shit show. So basically, in his absence, Skeletor played really, really badly by Jared Leto. I mean, I can't stand Jared Leto anyway. I think he's awful in everything he touches.
Joker,
yes. This is no exception.
Yeah.
Just
Really?
really, really terrible.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Even after, under a mask and sort of not seeing him at all.
Kind of especially because he camps like there's always been like a camp element to Skeletor, and that's fantastic. But he walks the line. I think Mark Hamill did one of the best jobs on that, that I can think of. And I think that's part of the problem is I've been spoilt by the Kevin Smith version
on Netflix.
that is just phenomenal. I absolutely loved it. The second one, less so, but that's a whole other thing. That's not what this is about. But yeah, it kind of that has spoilt me because that's the standard I was expecting, and it didn't quite hit it. Yeah. But yeah, he comes back. Skeletor's ruined the planet of Eternia, and he becomes He-Man and wrestles it back. That's
It's the style of it is really strange because I watched it today, and it's very, very tongue in cheek. It's very, very tongue in cheek. It's very, very camp. I think it looks so cheap for an expensive film as well. I think the visuals are a little bit shonky. I like a lot of the production design. I like the way that they've kept the designs of the characters. Your Ram Man and your Fisto and your even Mechanic and stuff. But it's so much of it is actually like played for laughs as well. And I mean the fact that young Adam, he was like a very much of a disappointment in his father's eyes, and he's very bit touchy feely, and the fact that he goes to work like kind of call center on Earth, and I think that I've got so many problems with the plotting of it and the pacing of it and just the logic of it as well. But you're not supposed to. I think it's a film that you're supposed to just go with the flow on it, enjoy it as a fantasy romp, and not think about it too much. But as soon as you start thinking about stuff, it's like, oh my god.
I can do that to an extent, but one of the things, like sticking with Adam, like I thought he as a performer, as an actor, is absolutely fine and
fantastic. He holds the film together. He holds the film together.
Totally, and he was brilliantly cast in the role. But they kept talking about him as Adam as being this really weedy guy, and you can see in the tight shirts he's wearing, he is absolutely ripped. He is He-Man stature. As Adam. But they kept talking about Adam as a weedy guy.
Adam wasn't the cartoon, though.
Yeah,
but the original figures, it was the same sort of molds that they used.
Can I ask you both?
Yeah.
Because you're both fans. Seeing this, did you want another origin story, or did you just want an adventure?
To be fair, it would have made more sense just to have an adventure, because I think a lot of people, when it comes to franchises, they do sometimes like spend too much time doing origin stories where you don't necessarily need it. Because sometimes you'll either do an origin story or you'll do a post being famous or post the peak story. Very rarely you'll get like something slap bang in the middle. I mean, you look at like Michael Keaton's Batman film. That was slap bang right in the middle kind of thing. That wasn't any kind of
and the recent Superman as well, which was superb. The way they handled that was great, I thought.
Yeah. To be fair, I wouldn't have minded this being an origin story like revisiting the origin story because it has been so long since we've had a Masters of the Universe like film or like I said, we had the Kevin Smith, but that's Netflix only. It's animated, so it's kind of a different audience. This is reintroducing He-Man to a new generation. So yeah, I think an origin story would have fitted. I was prepared for that, and I was happy for it. But I think if you're going to do that, you honour the existing origin story. You don't try and rewrite it. So yeah. I felt it was a misstep in that regard.
But it's funny though, the fact that I like the idea that the character names are names that Adam invented and created in his head for the people. So people like Ram Man, Fistone, all the rest of it, they're actually just He-Man's nicknames for them. They're Adam's nicknames for them. They're not
that's
actually
nice.
what they. So you never get to actually find what they're called. Anytime Fisto's mentioned, everybody in the background all bursts out laughing and stuff like that. So it's very, very knowing that way. So it does have some stuff in it that works really well. But to be fair, it fell like flat with me, and I think a lot of the action sequences and a lot of stuff like that just didn't quite work. And I think the Skeletor stuff and everything, it's. I mean, to be fair, the whole Castle Grayskull didn't work for me as well. Just being on the edge of the city, the way that I think, some stuff just didn't really work for me that way. And I can understand why they did, did what they did, but
why would you have a castle connected to the palace by a bridge?
Just reminded us a little bit of what they did in Thor. Where you had the I can't remember the name of because you had like the bridge between the city and then to get to the transportation device thing. Some of the stuff
bridge.
like that, some of it really did remind us of like the Thor designs from that film there.
Well, they're straddling, and Master of the Universe has always sort of straddled that. It's half fantasy, half sci-fi, and I think I thought visually that side of it that worked really well for me, and that again, going back to the 1980s Master of the Universe, that was too sci-fi for me in that regard.
But again, it's one of those things that is a bit of a sci-fi trope at the minute, where you have to end up going to Earth for something. It just doesn't. Does it always have to be? Earth as the central point.
Yeah. How would you feel, Craig, if they were to do a sequel? So same universe, maybe some of the same characters, but a She-Ra movie by the same people.
I think that's going to be on the cards in any case. I think that's because the film's not, and again back to what we're talking about with the with Project Hail Mary and this is I don't think that Amazon MGM were that hugely bothered about making too much money at the cinema, because they know fine well that Amazon Prime is going to be the main location for these two films up and coming. So if they can do a She-Ra film, and Mattel will be pumping money in as well. Because I think I mean was I don't think it was pushed enough to be a kids' film to try and do the merchandising, a bit like what Barbie was. I think they tried to think maybe going to get like a Barbie style hit out of this, which they're never going to do. But I think they'll go. I think we'll go for She-Ra because it's a franchise, and they'll want to expand the franchise. They'll just do something for half the budget and just do what they need to do, because it's they're gonna do stuff till it's gonna make some money.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Excitingly, I
merchandising
went
for
to
this
the.
is out.
Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, yeah. I was just saying the merchandising for this is already out. You've got new ranges of He-Man toys already out and about. They're not as good as the ones we had as kids.
See, the thing is, I mean, it was funny because Ralph was more into He-Man and Transformers, and that when they came out, then I was still well wedged into me Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff and that there, and I enjoyed the Filmation cartoon of He-Man. I never bought any He-Man figures and stuff as a kid, but I enjoyed the cartoon on ITV. So, but I always thought it was good fun. I always thought it was good fun, and I was disappointed by this. I was expecting a lot, but there was some bits of it that I was entertained by, but a lot of it I was just a bit like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I could have waited for this to come out on streaming.
Yeah.
Interestingly, having not seen it or gone to see it or anything, I was actually at a location about 2 years ago, where just after they filmed there, which was Ely Cathedral.
Oh.
So yeah, and they were boasting about it. So
the last it's going to show my tenure. I've not been to Ely Cathedral since it must be about 20 years now, because when we used to go to Ely for fish and chips regularly when Sarah was at uni in Cambridge. So we'd go because there wasn't a decent chippy in Cambridge, so you had to go across to Ely to get a really good fish and chip. There you go.
Well, and I've not been to Ely Cathedral
at all. It's great.
So it's a middling review from me and Stu. Yeah. So let us go on to the final film that we're going to be talking about today, and it is the return of the master director Steven Spielberg to science fiction. Now, he has produced some seminal and some work in the genre, from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and not willingly putting some aliens into Indiana Jones, which he was against. He's currently on record as saying that he was against, and heartbreaking films like
E.T.
AI and E.T. and even things like War of the Worlds. But anyway, War of the Worlds, I actually enjoyed.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah.
And funny thing is there's lots of the production style and design of Disclosure Day reminded us a lot of War of the Worlds.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Anyway, let's just talk Disclosure Day. So, who wants to give us a brief synopsis of the story?
I'll give it a go. So, we start off. Trying to think now. So we start off with a Weather girl, who
Emily Blunt,
Emily Blunt,
fresh from making an absolute fortune in The Devil Wears Prada 2.
Indeed. And she's going about daily business, and she's having a bit of a weird time. Has a bit of a psychic moment, bit weird, and then goes to work, does her weather report, then breaks into alien clicking halfway through. Goes viral. In the meantime, there's we see a backstory of a secret department who are looking after all the secrets, the alien secrets, and we go on from there. And then it's a chase movie, essentially, I would say.
It is. Now, for me, I'm going to be a little bit of a downer on this, because I think the story of a government or an international agency who are protecting the secrets of governments that we've had contact with aliens is an intriguing idea, and the fact that governments using that technology and using the stuff like that to suppress the information and try to advance the human race on the QT. I mean, we've seen stuff like this, before in different films and in different things like this. My initial thought while watching this, especially with all the lens flare and especially with the whole mystery box thing, I didn't think this was a Spielberg film. I thought this was a J.J. Abrams film.
Sure. Well, okay. Yeah. But where did J.J. Abrams learn all his tricks from? But,
Yes. This is it. But I thought that in my eyes, the X-Files had done this before and done this a bit better. Don't get us wrong, there's some parts of it are stunning. I mean, I really like the bit where the protagonist is in the field and the crop circles appear
yes
around him and that. And I think it's a bit of a wasted opportunity in certain respects, but we'll talk about the ending. We'll talk a bit non-spoiler later on, but I'll give you guys a chance. Mr. Jackson, I know this is right up your street, so it's probably Mr. Jackson's Strasse, especially with your fascination for all things alien. So I'll let you get stuck in.
Well, quite. And first thing I got to do is take issue with you calling it a science fiction, where to me it felt much more like a documentary. So I
think you're right.
I loved it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. But then I was, like you say, I'm well and truly down the rabbit hole when it comes to UFOs, UAPs, or that kind of thing. So I was seeing like massive amounts of, I suppose, what were for me Easter eggs. Talking about the psionics, when you had, I don't know if this would be a spoiler, the animals.
Yeah.
The way the animals turned out to be, that is a recognized element within a lot of UFO abduction stories. Not specifically animals, but
avatars.
That kind of technique, if you like. Yeah. There's a name for it, and it's gone. Screen memory. Screen memory. That's it. The technology that was used, empathy being like a superpower. These are all like actual things within ufology. I mean, for me, the most amount of suspension of disbelief I had was actually the ending,
the reveal. Yeah.
The reveal, because I know that it couldn't possibly happen that way due to laws and legislations and the way that journalists operate. So yeah, but suspension of disbelief, was fairly easy for it because it was so thoroughly entertaining. I thought the performances were absolutely outstanding. And Colin Firth was, I thought, absolutely amazing throughout.
Colin Firth
his
was
nuance.
incredible. Yeah. Emily Blunt, outstanding. And that all the three leads were incredible, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the supporting cast as well, his girlfriend was incredible. The Mother Superior, I thought,
yes.
And I thought that was it. So there's a big thing in ufology at the moment, like, are aliens really demons, and how does this affect religion? I thought he gave a fantastic answer to that in the movie. I'm a little bit right. So tinfoil hat time, I admit it, but I have this theory that Hollywood has been preparing us for disclosure for the last 40 years. Movies like Close Encounters playing a big part in that. And I feel that this is quite strongly another step along that road, because it introduces so many elements that are known within that UFO community but aren't perhaps widely known by the general public. It introduces a lot of things that it's now going to normalize people to. Yeah. You're regretting having me on now, Craig.
Ah, far from it. Far from it. Go on, Mr. Chandler. What do you think?
Well, I really, really enjoyed the film. It may be very emotional in places, and I'm with Stuart, Jay, with I I think it is a sort of softening up thing in a way, but it's not just a story, I don't think, but
Mm.
it's really interesting, and I was engaged throughout. I think the only thing agreeing with Stu there was the final reveal. It was probably, I don't know, it was a bit
Clunky.
clunky. Yeah, yeah, in a way, but I really enjoyed it as well. I mean, it was, we've talked about suspension of disbelief a lot tonight, and that's what you got to do. That's what the movies are about. I know people that can't do that, and it annoys me to hell. And if you're at the movies, you're at the movies. So go with it. But I thought all the three leads were outstanding. I thought Josh O'Connor was brilliant. I don't think I've seen him in anything before. I'm not sure, but it was sort of he was great. And as I say, as you said, Colin Firth was fantastic, and Coleman Domingo as well was superb. So I think it's a brilliant story, really well told. Some of the bigger stunts, they look like big stunts. I don't know.
Spielberg knows how to do
I could
that.
have done without those.
See,
Yeah.
for me, I think this would have worked better as a mini series rather than a film.
Okay.
Because I think there's too much left unsaid with it. Because you don't, because anything to do with, yes, it's to about suppression of the truth, and you're building you up in the fact of Disclosure Day, but
Yeah.
you don't. There's no feeling in it of like the aliens trying to contact it. There's no like huge like backstory about what the whole thing is.
Yeah.
There's no like a big picture, and
I,
there's
I,
no
I, yeah.
big the ending. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but there's no big yes, you couldn't replay the ending of Close Encounters or something like that, but the film leaves you with this is not an end, this is a beginning of something.
Mm.
But it just needed to be a bit bigger. The scale of like things happening around the world and the stuff, it reminded me a little bit of The Abyss, the director's cut of The Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the director's cut of The Abyss, you've got this whole Third World War building up, which isn't in the theatrical cut, but it's all part of the big director's cut, where the aliens in The Abyss have decided to, they're not aliens because actually from Earth, but they decide to make big tsunamis around the world of tides hanging over all the coastal cities of the world to get mankind to de-escalate, to stop the coming Third World War, which could technically be part of what Disclosure Day is doing, but it's not. There isn't like a, because you've got like an A story and a B story. It really needed like a C story to run through everything, and I think that's why it's a quite a long film, but it needed a bit more time to develop, apart from the runny, chasey, car crashy spectacle thing of a train, the car clapped on the train and things like that. It should have a more of emotional punch that it has. Not saying that it hasn't, not saying that it's not got its whole Spielberg things with it, but I wanted more of it, and I think it's because I know like it or loathe it, and especially the last two seasons where they brought it back and completely screwed the mythology. A lot of the mythology of the X-Files is really, really clever from season 1 to its development in season 9. Some people think, oh, it's a bit like Lost, where you're panning it out too much.
No.
But there's some absolutely really glorious stuff in the X-Files, and that changed TV and cinema forever. And I think problem is you compare the depth of the X-Files to this, and yes, it's got, like the Stu says, it's got really good Easter eggs and it's got good stuff like that. But I just wanted more from it.
It sounds almost like what you're missing is the NHI perspective.
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Like okay, they're here, but why? What's their goal? And I wonder if maybe an element. So I know from watching interviews, Spielberg is absolutely convinced that the UFO phenomenon.
Yeah, it's real. Yeah.
I know that. So one of the big things that comes up time and time again in ufology is this element that actually we're not what the NHI are interested in. We see ourselves as the most important thing on the planet, but they're potentially not here for us. They're not bothered about us.
I'll just mention the names George and Gracie.
Yeah. Spielberg's also sort of denied that it's any sort of sequel, hasn't he, to Close Encounters? But to me, it is.
It could be.
Yeah.
They can easily sit in the same universe if you, in your head canon, if you want them to be. And of course, Close Encounters was based on an allegedly real event, Project Serpico, where we had an exchange.
But I mean, Close Encounters still, as a story, holds up fantastically now.
Oh yeah.
Documentary. Yeah, I've not watched it for years. I really, really, really need to.
Oh, it's a great film.
Really, really dig it out. So, overall thoughts? You'd both give it a thumbs up.
For me, 5 stars.
Yeah. But, I'd give it a rating of about 11 out of 10.
Yeah.
I think it's a must-watch for anyone with the slightest interest in ufology, and for everyone else, it's a really fun movie.
Yeah.
So, is there any particular podcast anywhere that really delves deep into ufology and stuff like that, Mr. Jackson?
Funnily enough, I've heard about one quite recently that's just come back called Aliens Explored. Thank you very much, Craig.
And where can you find such a podcast?
So you can, audio listeners can find it in their usual audio listening places, Spotify and Apple Podcasts or the usual place, or just by going to aliensexplored.com. Or we've got a new YouTube channel now, Aliens Explored Podcast. So if you put that into your YouTube, you'll find us there. Thank you very much, Craig.
That's all right. And as a brief aside, just gonna quickly mention a few upcoming films. I want to gauge the guys as potential interest levels of these are films that are due out in the next coming weeks. So you're talking between now and before the autumn. So it's your summer blockbuster time. So first up, we have Supergirl.
Yes, looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think Millie Alcock film. She was in House of the Dragon season.
Yes, she was.
Yeah. And so this is essentially a sequel to the latest in the new revamped Superman, the DC universe, where Millie Alcock, she's a very, very different take on.
Indeed, it's off planet and fighting bikers, as far as I can tell.
It's Lobos. It's so in the comic books he's a huge character, and I've got to say, amazing casting. I now wish they hadn't cast him as Aquaman.
Yeah,
or
I think it's
anybody
really
else.
strange. Yeah, Jason Momoa in a DC again as a different character, but not like it's happened before with Captain America and Johnny Storm, though. So.
Yes, very, very true. But yeah, I mean, I can obviously haven't seen it yet, but I think from the trailers and just seeing Jason Momoa, perfect casting.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting one, so that's a possibility.
Yeah.
On the fantasy and epic side, you've got Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey,
Yes,
which
divisive.
it's going to be very, very divisive. This this is a Greek mythology and a stellar cast and a massive budget. And
I'm thoroughly looking forward to it.
yeah,
As a Nolan fan,
yeah,
but I know people that take the Odyssey quite seriously, and they're
Yeah.
really not.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, it's I mean, I've thought it was really funny because there's anybody who watches any of the late night American chat shows where you've got Matt Damon and his ongoing feud with Jimmy Kimmel. He did a corking one because he spent 20 odd years trying to get on the show and always being battered back. And this week he got onto the show by being part inside a Trojan horse to try and put that to push the Odyssey. It was very, very, very funny. So I think it's going to be epic. I mean, it's going to be a typical Christopher Nolan 3-hour monster, isn't it? So
it
think it'll
won't
be
be as good
incredible.
as it won't be as good as the definitive Odyssey, which was Ulysses 31.
31. I was waiting for you.
Of course. And I must admit, I'm not a fan of Robert Pattinson.
Oh, really? Oh, I think he's
Yeah.
brilliant. But I think he's really good in everything apart from Twilight.
He wasn't too bad at Batman, I suppose. He was all right.
I really enjoy him. I think he's got the X factor.
I seem a bit like Benedict Cumberbatch. He kind of has a character that he plays.
Yes.
But that's,
But
yeah.
Can I just say he wasn't Khan? That's all I'm going to say. He wasn't.
Oh, God, no.
Next up,
Cumberbatch.
yeah. Next up, Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Now this looks cool. I mean, I've got a soft spot for this last lot of Spider-Man films from Homecoming onwards. I think would be great fun, and this, poor old Spidey, everybody forgot who he was by the end of the last film. So I think it's moved on a few years.
Yes.
So he's been living his life, and he's going through a kind of Spidey midlife crisis, isn't he, where his body's changing. And to be fair, what sold me on this straight away is Mark Ruffalo back as Mr. Banner and the Hulk. So I'm yes, we've had a lot of Marvel fatigue in the last few years, and this is another film in it, but we're building up to Doomsday. Yes, we're building up with Doomsday, so I think this might be entertaining.
No, I can't wait for this. Yeah.
Next up is a one that I really quite fancy, and we've spoken before of J.J. Abrams, and this brings Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor back to the sci-fi fold with The End of Oak Street.
Oh yes, yeah. Saw a trailer the other day. Yeah.
So you've got a suburban street in Middle America, which seems to have been transported back to some kind of either Jurassic or Cretaceous period, and there's dinosaurs in the street. Now, if this isn't fecked up, I don't know what is.
But how much of that is supposition at the moment?
Oh yeah, JJ and that.
Is it another trailer? Is it Well, yeah, but we don't know that it has gone back in time. We don't know.
Well, true. Yeah.
It's moved.
It looks interesting.
Really
I've seen the
does.
Red Band trailer, and it looks quite good.
Right.
I mean, you look at things. I mean, like La Brea, that god awful TV series from a few years ago, where people through a sinkhole and back to the was it back to post Ice Age kind of time?
Yeah,
about
I think
10,000
so.
years
Yeah,
or whatever?
and mammoths. Yeah.
Mammoths and stuff like that. And also, if you think of the great bit of a flop TV series, which I thought was thoroughly entertaining, which was Terra Nova, which was the dinosaur TV series from about 15 years ago, which
Oh, I
where
missed that one.
it was a Fox show, it was one of the most expensive shows made, but it just it hit the
Two
it hit at the
two
time.
seasons, was it?
No, it was only once. It was only one
Was it
season
only
because
one?
it was around about the time of the writers' strike, and that where it got shafted in the schedules on Fox. It was so expensive to make. It was shot down, I think, in Australia, but great show, great budget, and
Great premise.
the Earth was dying, so they sent people back as a colony back to the Cretaceous or Jurassic, whichever period it was, and essentially to start a colony there because you go back in time. So, and I thought it was great, and it had a bit of a mystery box kind of thing. It had some mysteries about not being the first people to go back in time. So it was a great show. It was a shame that it only lasted the 13 or so episodes. But
there was that. You had people sabotaging it as well, and there was a lot of intrigue.
Yeah, so it's a show that I really need to rewatch. In fact, I think it's one day we'll have to cover this way down the line.
Well, yeah,
in shows.
it's up there, sort of the Forgotten Shows podcast we're gonna do.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's things like Space Above and Beyond, and even like
and Prey,
stuff like that.
Do you remember Prey? Yeah.
Oh, good, yeah. But they would digress.
Yeah.
Only what I think of that's up and coming is called The Dog Stars, which is a post-apocalyptic.
Don't know about that.
Right, no.
Don't know a lot about that, but that's due out, I think, sometime in the September, October wise. So yeah, and there's a lot of stuff coming up on TV and that in any case. But we'll be covering
sorry, on that last
news
one,
and everything.
just to double check, Craig, do you say it's called The Dog Star?
The Dog Stars.
Are you serious?
Yeah. It's not Keanu Reeves' band either.
No, there's a joke. Are you serious?
Oh, for God's sake.
I'm never getting invited back.
I'm a broken vacuum cleaner. I'm slow on the uptake there. That's what it is. And on that shit note, I would like to thank Stu Jackson.
Oh, yeah, lovely being here.
And Stu Chandler. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you so much.
This has been an absolute blast. So you've had us ranting for the last about hour and a half. Who says we're going to do short shows of shit shows? Well, I suppose we'll do the. Come on, Mr. Chandler. We'll do the old Planet Marzipan endings. It's good night from me.
It's good night from you.
Take care.
Stay alive.
Peace and long life.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Planet Sci-Fi from Planet Marzipan. Check out our brand new Facebook group or email us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com.